Zonia's popping into my chat. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
All right. How are you doing?
I'm good. What's up?
Let me give you the story because I remember it pretty well.
Okay.
So with South Park, originally when they did their, the Super Friends episode, it was back in the 90s before 9/11, and it wasn't a hot topic, so they didn't get much attention on it. But then
South Park was also significantly smaller then. It really I think that the first 2 seasons they did well, but it was around season 3 or 4 that it really took off and became a part of the cultural zeitgeist. Whereas Charlie Hedbo also was part of the cultural zeitgeist in France, for what's worth. Anyway, sorry, continue.
And then after the Charlie Hebdo stuff, they went and signaled loudly that they were going to do another episode featuring Muhammad. And hinted at it and everything. And then they made the episode, and I think it didn't air. It got pulled before they allowed it to air, and they actually had to go and get armed security to protect Matt and Trey, and then they were saying, well, they're going to release it straight to video, and so that's what ended up happening. I actually have, I
swear, I watched that
on DVD.
I feel like I watched that episode, so. What it was they literally just black boxed it. All right, and I remember that
the one that they that one that they did. But there is supposed to be, what was the reveal? Oh, maybe it was Family Guy who did the reveal, and that got pulled, and so they went straight to video with that one.
What was the Muhammad episode called?
Shit, I don't remember.
201, I think. No, 201.
So
6th episode,
Friends one, and then there was the follow-up one.
Yeah, so 201 is the second episode of 200, right? Where it was pretty much everything that you're talking about, but that was the one where it was hey, we are going to do the reveal of Muhammad, but then they ultimately just censored one of Stan's speeches where he was talking about not
that's what it was.
Yeah, whatever it was. But I don't remember if this. In the week between the broadcasts for 200 and 201, the website for the New York-based radical revolutionary Muslim posted an entry including a warning to creators Parker and Stone that they risked violent retribution for their depictions of Muhammad. They will probably wind up like Theo Van Gogh for airing the show. Oh, and that's another one. Yeah, that's another guy that got
and then
killed.
they had to have security guards around them. They were staying in indoors and in safer spaces for a while and such. So it was kind of wild the way that the way that all worked out.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, and then they even bleeped references to Muhammad's name in that fucking episode as well. I'm just looking through literally all of this stuff, right? Because I know that thing happened. I think this is religious extremism all over, right? The whole Shinzo Abe thing, right? So it wasn't 30 years previous. You ever see that one video of that one he's a Japanese politician, guy runs up on stage with a sword and cuts the dude open, right? That's the same cult that Shinzo Abe was a part of, and why he then got murdered by the dude who's you stole money from my mom, right? So you see this over and over again with all manners of cults. I mean, this is the same thing as the religious segregationists, right? That were doing church bombings and everything like that. This is something that's religion for most people ruins them, destroys them internally, and makes them absolutely just whatever.
Or just it's any kind of absolute, black and white belief system does that, because then you end up placing everybody on these polar positions. They're either with you or against you. There's no gray area. There's no common ground. There's no area to compromise. Everything is just polar extremes.
I think that there's something more insidious than that. I think that it's the us versus them like argument. Isn't the us of like you as a group that you're identifying with. It's us as you and some immaterial being who will justify any action that you do. Right.
I would say even beyond that, because it's like it doesn't have to be a lone being. In the case of ideology that goes beyond religion, it can be in pursuit of some
if you can justify
greater collective goal or something that is detrimental to humanity, like their existence depends
martyrdom.
On it, so they convince themselves
martyrdom, like martyrdom
so
even outside of religion,
like for instance, all this polarization in politics is very much along the same lines. We're fighting for for conservatives and right wingers, it's the soul of of humanity and humanity's ability to survive and not tear itself apart, right? If in the case of people on the far left, it's we're being devoured entirely by the rich and by colonists and shit, right? Who are seeking our destruction. So it doesn't even necessarily have to do with a being. It can be ideological beyond that of any kind of like soul entity or godlike being or anything. It could be just ideological along the lines of this is a war against good versus evil overall in many different forms, right?
Yeah, and I think like to me, I always like end up just like kind of perceiving ideology as like it is like I think the same as God, right? Like if you're going ahead and building through like logic, as the way you put it, is that Puka?
That's Puka.
Those are some good trills. Those are really good trills. Like holy shit, those are good trills. Sorry. But no, like ideology, like that's all religion is. Religion is like a kind of fancifulized, making of an ideology most of the time. And I mean, I do also want to make this like huge separation between religion and spirituality. Like when I'm saying religion, I mean like having something that has like harsh and like defined like bounds on like what everything is supposed to mean and whatnot. And so like I'm just I think that that's like kind of where I'm like, I think that people can have spirituality and can be fine. I mean, obviously it can be bad, but I do think that it's like once you start like, I think that the whole Abrahamic forgiveness shit is bad. I think the reincarnation, but eventually you just get there shit is bad. Like, I think that it's like, I don't know, man. It's if you're trying to justify external to material reality when we can't define external to material reality because we're in material reality, we're of material reality, we can't define that. That's just faith. Like I think if you're doing faith, like I think everybody needs to have a secular person and a little bit of a I have this general belief, right? Like about like something weird. If you have that, I think there's value there, but it just is like something to entertain. But moreover, I wish people would just be like, they're not really doing anything wrong to fuck me over. I'm just going to fuck off now and just kind of muddle and make my own little art and shit. But
no,
I don't know.
Exactly what you mean.
Yeah, it's like kind of niche like art thing that he talks about. I don't know how to put it. Yeah.
I've become very anti-ideological in recent years because I see a pattern of the social media, the internet, algorithms, and how easily the echo chambers and extremism are fomented in these spaces. That ideology is a really good bait for turning people into extremists. And it seems like people are not very good. Like it used to be pockets, right? Because people weren't as interconnected in the first place, and it took time to communicate ideologies to people, and you were kind of forced to commingle with people who don't agree with you on everything, because life was more about just surviving in or like going about in the real world, in the physical world, and dealing with a mix of people with a mix of beliefs and values. And now people can very quickly find and cohort with people who continue reinforcing these ideological values and do not allow any kind of difference of opinion, any kind of injection of other possible ideas. And so it's very easy for people to become, radicalized ideologically. It's a problem. It's a real problem. And we're seeing just so much more of that, where it's very easy to end up in an environment where you cut off any kind of influence from people of differing backgrounds, differing opinions, differing values, differing beliefs, and start to see everybody outside of your echo chamber as an enemy or enabling the enemy.
Yeah, I think that's demonization. Demonization is kind of like the mark of like modern, the very most modern setting that we're in, right? Because demonization is something that we've always had, but it's generally been against, some externality, right? Like with the Cold War, demonization of the USSR. And then ever since then, it's like, we demonize terrorism, but that got old. Like, we don't really have as much to demonize. So then it becomes about self-demonization. Even if you're doing they came for the anarchists and I didn't speak up, that sort of shit, right? Yeah. Because eventually it's just there is going to be some level of self-demonization. I think that, there are definitely players that played into that a lot more than others. And I think that Jimmy Carter was the most fucked over president in the fucking world. And it is absolutely fucking bullshit what happened to him. And I will always stand by that. Because I think that was this very strong mark of when we start seeing this massive turn. But we also don't have common enemies. And without common enemies, we have to have a thing that we strive against. Most people do, right? Not everybody has to. I don't even think it's necessarily good to have this. But you have to have a striving against a common enemy. And then you can actually get people to work together. But we don't have common enemies anymore because there aren't common enemies. This is the neutering of man, and this is why we become so extreme on even people around us, that are barely in our things. You take that amplification 1,000 times of the internet and the cheering and braying of crowds, and the actual delivery of monetary value. If you go ahead and shit on somebody or just get those WWWs or whatever, it's just self-reinforced and shit, dude. It's really frustrating. But I don't do it. You know what? I don't fucking do it because I don't care. I just fucking yell at people and whatever. I don't know. People in food shops Discord are yelling at me because food shops wants me to start doing drama.
I like to say that I like to sit back and watch the world burn.
I just step in
and everybody who takes it all so seriously.
See, the thing is, I feel that is a thing that you have to do because you have to have the dissociation. But for me, it's I just talk to people and I'm okay, I don't know if anybody told you this, but you realize you sound kind of retarded right now. I did this with Smith, I did this with Drazi, and you know what? That's what I do. And then you know what Smith did? He's oh, I'm going to talk about Van Gogh in this way and this idea. And the bigger idea, I think it's something that got missed in that whole time was the bigger idea about art and what is the production of art of meaning to, which I think about all the fucking time. But Smith never could vocalize that because he didn't think of it like that to begin with. All right. And it's I don't know. It gets me big pissed because man, I just thinking about art and concepts of art, dude. It's just so good. But
yeah, me too.
Yeah. So I just do think that it's I think that there is a necessary nature that we have as human beings to kind of actually need some external agitator to go ahead and give definition. I don't think that it's something that is necessary. But I do think there must be a way to define yourself without comparing yourself to other things. right? Like, I think there has to be a way to claim something separate about yourself without other things existing. And I think that's something that is like a kind of like more of a paradigm shift of idea. And I think that's where we're at, is like I think we are shifting to self-definition versus defined by opposition. And I do think that shift exists, and it's something I'm watching. It's something I think about way too much.
It's also something that is prone to a lot of problems, because one of the things that social media very readily enables and that people end up sort of synthesizing their own boxes out of is like defining themselves in a way that is, I would say, it still ends up falling prey to being comparative to others, right? Because people will go on and they'll put, like, you take a look at people's profiles and such, or how they define themselves on their videos and such, and they put their identity first and foremost in like labels and everything is like framed up so that you can quickly bucket the person somewhere or prejudge them. So that creates this synthetic engagement with people, because if you disagree with any one of those labels, immediately you start writing them off as one of the bad people. Or if you agree with one of those labels, immediately you stop looking critically at what it is that they're saying and just agree with them or assume that they're one of yours. So not only that, but the other problem that I see, which is honestly probably an even bigger problem, is that I find people more so tailoring their own values to match the identity that they want people to believe that they have, the labels that they want people to believe that they have. They want people to know that they're an anarchist, so they go out of their way to make judgment calls and decisions and harbor values that will fit that label, so that people don't see them as not being a part of that label, as not being true to that label, even if they would normally disagree with those judgment calls or values, etc. Right?
Yeah. It's literally
even when they would have doubts about it, and that creates a synthetic form of purism, right? That they end up trying to live their lives by, that isn't actually natural to them. And hang on, got a phone call and it like triggered your thing starting to play on my phone.
It's okay.
Let me just turn the phone down. So
do your thing. You're okay.
And so that creates its own form of synthetic radicalizing or purism, right? That is, I think it's a trap that so many people fall into now.
But I think that the other hand that we have there, right, is this kind of like detached and dissociated being that is required to exist outside of that, right? Within the within modernity, right? Because the other end of this is that, like, one, you have all the social media and everything like that, right? And there's so many people that are involved in it that it now comprises a large enough portion of the population that you're probably not going to be able to go ahead and socially survive without using one form of it, somehow, right? And then the other side of it is you get involved in it and you start to fall into these things. So either A, you get to be socialized right and be fucked, right? And by socialized right, I mean you use social media, you participate in these things. This is what the purpose of these things are, all right? Is to go ahead, draw engagement. Those are what the algorithms do. The other option is you become a psychopath pariah that no one can talk to because you are no longer able to even connect within the fucking communication forms, because social media has changed the way that we communicate, even in like tongues and speech and whatnot, right? Which is worse? Is the one that, like, because we are social animals, most people can't live without other people. You either have to choose between being a hermit or being broken.
I'm kind of a hermit, like, naturally.
Same dude. But then hermits find each other and it's fucking great and it's cool. Like, we can actually talk. And that's like where I think it's just like, I can understand. I don't want to use like the red pill NPC thing, but I do think a lot of people are NPC in most of their time. Like, they don't think that hard about stuff. They're just existing. And I think that's the average person. And you know what? I'm jealous of them. I'm very jealous of them. That's it. I wish I could be that, you know?
I spend a lot of time sitting and contemplating a lot of things. Like I'll just sit and, sit in my chair or something, sit in my recliner, and I'll just be thinking about concepts for a while. That's part of the reason why I think I'm really into shrooms as well, because it lends itself well to that kind of process.
Yeah.
So I'm already like I could literally spend a few hours lying in bed just thinking about various concepts and exploring things, and like exploring my own psyche as well, like things that I think about myself, things that I take for granted about myself, and explore those. And it's just something I've always enjoyed doing. So might end up doing more of that with shrooms and exploring the chambers and dark horrors of my psyche.
I mean, that's the thing, though. It's like, so I feel, for me, with weed, it was something that in my late 20s, so I started smoking was like 21, 22. In my late 20s, I started getting to the point where I was able to like actually kind of do self-examination shit with it. And I have like mixed feelings on it, right? Because I think like I fucked it up at first, but I think I understand that I had to have a little bit of that fuck up for it to like actually work out. And this is me looking at it now, looking at like the person that I am now and like, what it was, which for me, it was the ingratiation to actual social structures in adulthood, and then my rejection thereafter of them, which also occurred. And the rejection has been incredibly important because it helped me understand the not being defined in opposition. Like right now, I've been thinking for like the last couple of weeks, I'm like, I am so fucking glad that I never like fully socially connected with all these fucking DSA people and shit that I used to talk to. Like I will still like see them from time to time, but like right now, could you fucking imagine like if in my real life I had to deal with some of the dumb fucking shit? Because I don't think that the like kind of hardline pro-Palestinian who gives a fuck about Israel line is actually as rare as a lot of people assume it, or as I used to think it was. I don't think still don't think it's super common. I think it's less rare, and it really bothers me that's a thing.
A thing about the defining oneself in opposition to others, right? One thing that this is something I've talked about even on stream and such. Like, it's really important to not define yourself in opposition to others, because that makes you very easy, like, to control, easy to predict, right?
Yeah.
Because you're always going to do, like, you're
the opposite.
Do what is... Yeah, the opposite, right?
You'd be the Republican Party in modernity. Whatever the Democrats do, they do the literal opposite. So,
yeah, and one of the things that, like, I'm kind of prone to this in a way, because I'm very like, if somebody tries to tell me what to do or what not to do, I'm very much inclined to do the opposite.
Oh yeah, it's the punk rock part of like our souls. Like that's like you can never escape that. All right, you can never escape it.
It's so ingrained in me, man. So
you have to have it.
And it can be a real problem, and I have to sort of check myself, because like I had a situation when I was on a Food Shops panel, and Lucy Hayes was on there, and I said that she made the equivalent to the same kind of argument that the Nazis made in Germany. Her producer, Somniostatic, DM'd me and said, I'm going to ask you to not compare Lucy to Nazis anymore. She's a Polish Jew, and she's had to deal with the effects of the Holocaust and such. And I was like, okay, you realize just you asking me to do this, I'm going to do it more.
Good.
Her, right?
Yeah. Like, what the fuck do you mean? Yeah, 100%. I'm just going to be like, smells like burning flesh in here. I don't know. Like, it's like, are you sure? Yeah. Okay.
Just because you don't want me to, I'm going to do it
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, exactly. Like, dude, like there is
and then they're like, oh, because it's very hurtful to them. I was like, great, I'm gonna hurt her more now.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's like what you just, it's like one of those where if somebody tells you, don't press this button, right? You press the button, right? Now, here's the thing. I have this weird
big
thing.
Red shiny
So
button.
here's the thing. If I know no one's watching me, I never do the thing. Okay? If I know someone's watching me, I always do the thing. I only do it performatively, right? Because if it's like there's somebody that says, hey, don't press this button, and then like, can you stand here for 5 minutes? Just don't press this button, right? I'll be like, yeah, all right, whatever, man. You know, like I'll fucking like chief of fucking, you know, like vape or some shit, right? You know, used to be smoking a cigarette, but that's gone from me now. So it's like, I realize I'm antisocial. It's fine. Anyways, so somebody tells me to do that. They walk away for 5 minutes. They come back. I actually probably won't press it because I'll be like, yeah, dude, yeah, you're good. But if it is something where like I know like they're actively there, I'm like, no, you can just fucking leave if you have a problem, right? Now, that's really it. It's like, I think that there is some performance aspect of it for me. And like, I think that there is, there's use in defining self through performance in a ways. I like to think of, so the Greeks had this idea of the daemon, right? Daemon, right? Daimos, whatever you want to call it. And it's like your kind of like will and what you do with it. I think identity just generally might be a lie that's been very convenient, but I think will has a lot of importance. And I think that's like this daimos idea, right? And that's, I think, the better way to do self-definition is by not defining things by anything other than what your actions specifically are. This I have been thinking about constantly for like a few months now, about like what is the definition of the self. And I really think that for me, you are defined by the things that you do more than anything else. And I no longer really judge people by things that they don't do.
Yeah, I was talking about this a bit on stream yesterday, is that it was in response actually to Destiny and Destiny pushing back on Catnip calling him out for saying that people should kill themselves.
Oh,
and
okay, yeah.
I was basically saying like, it's not something that I care to like police people on, but I disagree with Destiny a bit, only because unfortunately a lot of people, and this is a growing problem as time goes on, we have more of this being a problem. A lot of people were raised as kids without the adequate, like their parents or legal guardians are not, and you know, their those they look up to are not giving them or imbuing them with the tools to value themselves based on their own actions, but to instead value themselves based on how it is that others perceive them. Because they're being raised with all the social pressures of social media and everybody being bought into it and everybody being about the facade that they put up and how they're judged by that facade. And so people are so strongly identifying their own self-worth based on the opinions of even random people on the internet. And so people who are growing up in those kinds of environments are not really being given the adequate tools to value themselves independent of the opinions of randos on the internet. And so, yeah, it telling people to kill themselves, unfortunately, and saying that, you know, the world would be better off without them, does play into a growing problem of, you know, the improper raising of people.
Do you think
so much of their self-worth is tied to the opinions of others? But what, like, it's like, because a part of me goes and says, well, we shouldn't coddle that. We shouldn't make excuses for that and just allow it to continue. But part of me would say make the environment more hostile so that we can start having, like, forcing parents and legal guardians into raising children with the proper tools to be independent, to value themselves independently of the opinions of others. But I feel like we've hit a cliff.
Do you think we've ever actually existed like that without, like, the ramifications of the opinions of others? It's just that online we're able to be more vitriolic because they're not physically there. Like, communities would shun you. You know what I mean? Normally
you deal with these things as you grow up, and you have these brutal periods, typically in, like, your preteens, right? Where you're just absolutely devastated by what the kids at school have said about you and teased you about the way you look. It's typically like middle school, preteens kind of thing. And then if your parents did the right thing, they said, you know what, they're turning you down because they know it hurts you, and they're doing this because of their own self-loathing or their own insecurities, and you need to recognize that and stop letting their opinions control you. And then you develop beyond that and usually hit a point, typically and around your early high school days or so, where you're more resilient to those kind of things, and you stop caring as much about the opinions of others. They don't weigh as heavily in your self-worth. So that's what would typically happen. But unfortunately, due to, like, the social backlash that actually makes it out onto social media and gets shared around, not just by the kids themselves in school, but to a broader audience. And because people live these very fake lives and put up these very fake personas and facades and showing them only the best sides of their lives on social media, and so that's what your expectation is, like, oh, I got to be as good as these people. If parents aren't giving them those tools to recognize that that's all fake and that people are attacking them because of their own insecurities, then they never really develop that kind of resilience to that thing as they get older, and they just grow into adulthood through their formative years into adulthood, hitching so much of their self-worth onto the opinions of others. And so that's something that I don't know if there's that's a new paradigm that we didn't really have as much of, except for kids that are raised in Hollywood,
I think that
entertainment.
I think the only, like, new thing about the paradigm is that, I guess, like, the self-worth thing is a thing, right? So I think we have to be looking at, like, what communities were before this, right? And I'm drawn to, like, so my uncle Steven, who was my godfather, homosexual, died of AIDS in the 90s, right? He at one point brought home a black boyfriend. And then the Klan showed up at my grandmother's house, right? And so I think about this whole thing where it's like we look at social media and the way that it's playing, like, harms and effects. And I'm trying to figure out, like, I do think that it is increasing the amount of harm, because I think that we were moving towards a more nonviolent society. Genuinely think that was kind of where we were going for a while. I don't know if we're still on that path. I think that we may be going back into some level of barbarism. It feels like that way, right?
Those goddamn barbers and their violence.
It's just, you know what I mean. It's like, I got
terrible haircuts everywhere. It's
dude,
atrocity.
Okay.
Absolute atrocity.
All right, I am a king of barbers. I am the moth. I am the shedding of skin, and I am the cutting of wings, okay? I know what I am. But regardless, no, it's just like, there is this feeling of just kind of like this animal. I like to think of the vitriolic man, right? As human or whatever, as like this animalistic function. I think it's those things that are, like, denied with humanity in a ways, right? The way that we've I think humanity is not necessarily the resultant of violence, which is, like, often something that is given to, like, the animals, at least in, like, some kind of, like, moral virtue bullshit, right? And I think that, like, we were moving towards humanity. I think we're moving back away from it. And I think that's, like, I don't think that's just social media. I think that's literally even parts of the world that aren't super social media. I think that, we could look at Africa even, like, which has significantly less pressure than like the West and how social media interacts with us, right? And they're at the same time having huge conflicts. Like there's a huge blow up that looks like it's going to happen there. I think that we're just in a super tumultuous period. I think social media is amplifying it, that like you can go ahead and try to derive meaning from it. But I just think just in general, we are in a time of high tumultuousness because, yeah, we haven't had a big war in like 70 years. This is not something that's ever happened, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think people are getting antsy. And I think that's something I think that's what's really unprecedented here. And when I say big war, I know like I'm kind of shitting. Like, yeah, Vietnam had a full-on war going on there. Same thing with Korea. But like when I'm talking big war, I mean like we had the world wars, you had like full European wars, like Pan-African continent wars, like huge wars, like literally like Persia versus Greece. Like, you know, like we're talking big fuckers, right? Compared to like, you know, not just like one country, but just some amalgamation of ideas of countries and city states and shit, right? Mm-hmm. We haven't had that in a while. A really long time. And I think that's like really fucking with people, because I think that a lot of people weren't ready to get rid of the animal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think social media is letting us get a little bit of that animal, right?
Man, I certainly act like an animal online. Holy shit.
But it's good. I mean, it's fun because so here's the fun thing about your reaction animal is because you're reacting animal in non-animal spaces. Right? Like, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because this is what Samantha Savage does. She does, like, the same thing, right? And it's, like, kind of, like, testing to see if, like, you're going to go ahead and do this thing. And then eventually it's just like, no, you just don't react to it. And then everything's normal. And it becomes somehow less degenerate. I mean, at least this is how I've learned how to deal with it. That's how I tell people to deal with it. I just kind of, like, I just no-sell everything people tell me online. It's wonderful. So yeah, how are you? You doing well?
Me, hanging in there.
Fair enough. Yeah,
had been doing okay in terms of like just feeling good.
The shrooms thing, it seems like it's really setting you in. Like I'm pretty psyched about that for you. Like I'm glad that you found a one. Like finding a good escape is wonderful, and it's absolutely needed.
Yeah, I felt very much, I was saying recently, I was like, I feel kind of at peace, and there's sort of a calm that's settled on me, or like around me or whatever. So that's definitely something I've noticed since the shrooms, since the first shroom trip. And the second shroom trip was like so much more needed than the first one. Because the first one was a little too influenced by my trip sitter. And, you know, probably could have been. I honestly just should have done it by myself in the first place, but second one was a much needed experience. It was a much more positive experience.
Well, it's also because there's nervousness, right? Like for me with ecstasy, it was like when I did ecstasy a few times, it was like I did it once and I was like, oh, this is gonna be weird, and then just had like a kind of normal day. Then I did it again. And I was like, all right, cool. I know how to embrace it. That's just kind of like what drugs are. Like it's, because you don't know what your reaction is going to be. Like when I first started smoking weed, when I was in my teens, and why I didn't smoke until like my mid-20s, right? Like hard. The reason why I didn't smoke was because I would literally just vomit from smoking weed. So that was it. I would just vomit. I would get the tunnels, and then I just never did it. And then it was the Super Bowl. I think it was Steelers in like 2010, 2009 or something. Steelers versus whoever. And our neighbors were drug dealers. So we just went over there. We got stoned. And then I was able to smoke weed again after that. I only have like gotten the tunnels like twice since then. But yeah, that's it. Like you kind of learned that with like, and you know, you just have to like, yeah, the first time you do drug, it sucks. You never did?
Nope.
That sucks.
As a matter of fact, the first couple times that I smoked weed, I didn't get the tunnels. But then after that, consistently I got the tunnels.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes. That was like, that sucks. I am so sorry. Yeah, I don't get the tunnels now. I just get tired and I go to sleep. Which is like wonderful. But also bad because then I just sleep too much, and like add in the fact that it's like 30 degrees here right now. Yeah, I'm just like, I can't sleep that much. I gotta keep myself moving, or I will just hibernate. It's the worst. It's a good thing. So
I've always got something going on. So even especially when it's cold, I like going hiking when it's cold because I get hot really easily. So I prefer to go hiking when it's cold. So I'll get up. I don't go out when it's pre-dawn because it's just too dark, and I'm disabled, so I worry about like if I stumble or fall in the dark or something. So I wait until the break of dawn, and then I grab my cat and we go. And I have a baby wrap now, so I can stuff him in that, and we go hiking. And we do it at the just after the break of dawn because then it's nice and cold. It's like 40 to it's in the 40s or the 50s, and so that way I'm not as hot. But yeah, that's I like doing stuff when it's cold. Like I'm very much motivated by the cold, whereas the heat kind of makes me more lethargic.
Yeah, that's fair. Sorry, Loker is losing his mind. No, I agree to a point. I will say, I think lately I have been getting more interested in doing it when it's warm. I just like, I don't know. I feel like I am just fundamentally getting colder, like feeling as a person as I get older. Which is fine, because like I honestly like I am noticing that I am sweating less if it's like even like moderately like warm out, right? And like that's wonderful. What does that mean?
It means your testosterone levels are dropping.
Nice. Sick. Good.
I mean, if you care, you should check it.
No, I don't care.
Other things can follow with it.
The bigger
bone density and such.
No, I'm not like super worried about like that sort of thing at all. Like at all, like literally at all. Mostly because of the fact that it's like good. It just means like I'm like chilling out now that like I'm getting older, and that sounds fucking fantastic. Because holy shit. I don't know how to explain, like, being able to sweat at, like, 35 degrees Fahrenheit, is literally murderous. I hate it. I'm okay having a little bit less testosterone. Plus, it means I keep my hair. Hi, Food Shops.
Hi, I just want to say something real quick about the testosterone thing. So I actually have higher testosterone than normal for like transgender stuff. So whenever they measure my testosterone, they're always like, yo, why the heck do you always have like higher testosterone than normal? But then whenever like people look at me, they're like, oh my God, you're so like, your skin is so nice or whatever the fuck. You're so like feminine, whatever the fuck, right? But then, yeah, you can never tell. It's like, people always fixate on testosterone and estrogen levels, but there's so many other chemicals and hormones going on in your body, like hundreds and dozens.
Yeah, it's like the pineal gland, right? Like the pineal gland and like adrenochrome, right? Yeah. Because we all have an amount of adrenochrome that's within us that can be harvested. It's just that there is pure forms of it. I need to go use the bathroom.
Yeah, but it's like nobody like everybody just cares about them because it's like, yeah, it's important to care about them, and it's important when they get low or high, but it's like it's just not a big deal sometimes. Like you can have like a really, really masculine person who can punch a hole through you, but then this person could have like a really, really low testosterone level, right? Yeah. And you can have like a really, really feminine person with a really low estrogen level and a high testosterone level. It's like, it's not that correlative. Like it's not always all the time, and that's it. Like I have a high testosterone level, and and people wouldn't. Yeah, that's about it.
Depends on whether or not he cares about the testosterone level and whether or not it's related. But once you start getting to a certain age, typically around like 40s, if you care and you are feeling changes, like physical changes like that, it's not a bad idea to go and just get those. Here's
the thing: if I want to,
in general,
I'll be honest. Like, if I want to like pump my T, it's real fucking easy to do. I need to like lift and stuff, and if I do that, I'm just gonna be like, that's the thing. I know that that's just how it is, and I just don't want to. I don't want to get raged. I don't want to rage. I don't want to be angry anymore. I don't want to just be angry. I hate being angry. It's miserable.
I think anger is more correlated with like insecurities, honestly, like a lot more of the time.
It's like, no, anger is just this being that's within. It's like the natural case for destruction that lies within each of us that needs to be fulfilled, which we usually use with anger. Like, have you ever gone to like an abandoned warehouse and just like taken a few sledgehammers and just destroyed shit inside of it?
Oh, okay, but that's more of the fun adrenaline factor and less of the I gotta vent out because my mom.
Yeah, but that's like the consumption of allowing your animal spirit, like your instinctual form.
Oh, you can put out your animal spirit and hanging out with friends and
yeah, I can't. I wouldn't say I wouldn't say friends. I would say lovers would be the correct term there. That would actually be a part of it. I think sexual is a naturally
lovers and not friends. You don't have any platonic relationships whatsoever.
I have plenty of platonic relationships, but I don't put my animal side in my platonic relationships with people.
You don't have animalistic platonic relationships?
How the fuck would you have an animalistic platonic relationship?
You animalistically play board games with them, and you animalistically
no, absolutely not. Like there's always like
Resi Fursona arc one.
What does this mean?
What is this? I had a Fursona arc because I came from 2015 Tumblr, but like,
I swear to God, wait, what the fuck is this the poll? Are you asking if I'm having a Fursona arc?
Okay. Well, what's your favorite animal?
Wait, I said when. I said
Resi Fursona
arc when.
Resi, what's your favorite animal?
My favorite animal? Hippo.
Yeah. Okay, so you're a hippo Fursona.
No.
Oh my God.
That'd be a skin sona.
It's because you are a hippo. I'm kidding.
Because I am a hippo?
That'd be a pachyderm sona.
No, I understand like the whole. I mean, well, it's like how do I even put it, dude? No, like the thing is, I do think there is like some like bestial nature that every person just has, right? And it is like, I don't know. Have you ever gotten like punched in the face?
No.
Okay, you need to try it out sometime. It's really great. No, like I'm sorry, like it's really, really great. I need it.
Keep hands away from the face. I can fight, but keep hands away from the face.
Sounds very Fight Club now. I feel Fight Club references are going to start popping up.
No, I never watched.
No, Hammond the hippo. Look at my stream. Was posted in chat. I just wanted to show everybody this. This is not gonna happen. You guys need to chill out. Okay. This is not okay.
Oh my God, you should totally wear that.
I am not getting this.
You are now Hammond the hippo. Your name is Hammond the hippo. You're Hammond now. I'm gonna rename your name to Hammond in my server. You're Hammond.
All right, go ahead.
I think it would be Resi the hippo because Hammond is someone else.
Hammond Bear.
Hammond Bear. But no, I think that it's like the whole like bestial thing. I think that like having like some identification with like certain like kind of like literary functions of animals is not unwise. I think that it is there is a descriptive ability to calling somebody mouse-like that is like important, or if like that's something that you're trying to like embody, you get like the idea of it, the flavor of it, something small, quiet, nibbling, meek, but like also like intelligent often. I think that there is like you could compare that to like the brunt of like the idea of like a wolf being like this violent, pack driven, large, majestic, will kill concept, right? Versus like the humble hippo, which literally is only kill. This is my place. I will kill you now. That is what the
what's
hippo
so
energy
interesting is that these two animals are so similar but so different, like a rat and a mouse, right? But if you describe somebody as a rat versus describing somebody as a mouse, you can instantly tell the difference between these two people.
But the thing, okay, all right, here's the one thing I gotta say. I call people rats all the fucking time.
Aww,
and I love
rats are great people.
Rats are rat people are terrible, but rats themselves are so wonderful. Rats are so great. I have a mod named
Ratera, and Ratera.
Oh, Ratera's sweet. I love Ratera. Ratera's great.
Same thing with
Ratera is really sweet.
Yeah, they're great. But like the thing is, like I'm saying, like when I call somebody a rat, yes, I think that's a very damning insult. But like generally speaking, I love rats themselves because I just think that they're curious little freaks, just like my little orange rat. Loker, who won't leave me alone, Loki. Okay.
They're like long.
Can we get more rat jams in chat?
Yeah, more rat jams now.
Rat
Go for
jams.
it.
Yeah,
So,
Ratera always spams that. It's so cute.
Here's an interesting like concept, Rezzy. You'll understand this one, I think. So part of the reason why I fell in love with Napalm Death back in like 1990 or so was because there was something so bestial about their approach to the music and what they were saying, and it was like very just like very raw, very direct, and like unleashed in terms of what they were saying and putting forth like their disgust for shit that humanity does. And that was very attractive to me. And then you go to the shows and it's like that for the whole fucking crowd. It's just absolutely insane. And that I loved. And it's also like even more recently I've fallen in love with Primitive Man over the past decade or so. And they're similar, but in more of a like pessimistic, misanthropic kind of way, like just spitting on humanity and showing their absolute disgust for people. And the music is just this unleashing of that disgust, and the vocals like really carry forward that deeply felt disgust for humanity. That's very bestial as well. And so I love music that just has that kind of animal, bestial kind of element to it. And I'm not talking bestial metal, you can fuck off with that, but more just like music that very much conveys a raw animalistic emotion about something or feeling about something, and you can see that with all kinds of different styles of music. It doesn't just have to be like extreme metal. I've caught this in lots of other forms of music as well, including even like folk music.
If you find good folk music has something that is so close to the soul. And when we're talking like folk, we're not talking like this like new folk shit. We're talking like Johnny Cash, Folsom Prison shit, right? Like that's some good folk. You've got like Seeger had some like sick ass dope ass fucking folk, like Seeger, Guthrie, Woody Guthrie with Tear the Fascists Down and shit like that, where it's just like this like Which Side Are You On, I think is probably like one of the most soulful ones. I mean, you have that in soul too. I posted in the chat because you had the Napalm Death thing. For me, it was Blood Brothers, right? Because it was like this hyper. So like I grew up in like the fucking woods away from people. So the Blood Brothers was this like, I mean, it's this hyper screamo, like very clownish, right? Like a modern like circus of humanity, I guess is a way to put it. And that's what it felt like. It's got that clown rhythm. I've literally always been a clown my whole fucking life, dude. Joker is my identity. But it's that just sound of it is something that like invigorated me into getting into like really weird like noise experimental shit. And that was high school. And then this led to metal when I was in college because I hated women.
McFiston is mentioning Hanatarash, by the way.
Same. I can relate with that.
Yeah.
That was Hanatarash was great. Merzbow is great for just like noise that really conveys a feeling.
What about have you ever heard of Algiers?
Demon.
Have you ever heard Algiers?
I believe I did eventually check them out.
Okay,
yes.
good. All right, yeah. They're what gospel noise is they're Atlanta gospel noise. Yeah, that gospel-y sound, I don't know why, it just does something for me. Like even like now, I've been listening to I don't listen to a lot of noise, but I will always like check them out to see if they kind of like strike a nerve with me or a chord or a discord. Yeah. Have you ever heard
so I've explored so many different noise groups, but only really committed to certain ones.
Have you ever heard of oh my fuck, I just lost it. The album is called He Has Left Us All Alone, but sometimes shafts of light still grace the corners of our room. Fuck, I forget the name of this band. Silver Mount Zion. Have you ever heard of them? Nope. Okay, so this...
at first I was thinking it sounded almost like a track from The Body, but...
Yeah, no, this is the name of this album. I think that...
Link it.
Yeah, I'm linking it. I want to be very clear. This is not a happy album. This music has summoned the greatest feeling of despair I have ever felt from modern music. I don't know how else to put it. But what I will be doing is I'm going to play it in the background while we talk about this, and we can watch how, it's like a whole fucking thing. But yeah, Godspeed You Black Emperor this is a spin-off of that. Because like Godspeed is like kind of got all these like ascending crescendos and shit. This is all dissension. This is all just fucking just dearth and just misery. It's a terrible album, but if you want to feel the deepest sadness, I put it in the Live Now chat, but I will also DM you it. I will recommend it because it is it's a fucking trip. I've never heard anything like it.
If you want to hear something wild, I recommend The Body. All the waters of the earth turn to blood.
Yeah.
It's a really good album. I will pull it up on YouTube real quick and I'll link it into your Twitch chat.
Yes, do that. Oh yeah. Here is this.
This album, copy.
All the waters of earth turn to blood by The Body. Okay, I found it.
It's fun.
I'm going to...
Let's see. And then there's this one linked. Oh, I've listened to this.
Yeah?
Yep. Did you link this to me before?
I may have linked this to you before,
I think you did, and I didn't complete it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like I'm like halfway through the...
It doesn't get better. It doesn't get better. So I found out about this album, because there's one song on it called Blown Out Joy from Heaven's Mercied Hole, which my buddy Derek, we would do like stupid little films and shit. He did the films. I would sometimes be around for them. He made this one film that was just the length of this song, Blown Out Joy from Heaven's Mercied Hole, and it stuck with me for years because it's just the same thing over and over again for 8 minutes, slowly getting faster, just ba, 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 over and over again for 7 minutes, slowly getting faster with very little going on other than that. That shit stuck with me for fucking years. Eventually, I started listening to this when I would be working alone at night. And I always had this, I've worked like a lot of like really late night jobs, and like just in like lonesome in the night, I would just listen to like this extremely depressing shit and just completely unravel myself. Like I would remember it because I'd be working at the bakery. And we had this like late night bakery where we sold like, you know, confections and shit to drunk people and shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I would have a joint. I'd be walking down like fucking Frat Row, and I'd be smoking, listening to this after I got done with working and whatever, as I'm walking home. And I listened to so many weird, emotive fucking bands and found out a lot of emotions about myself in like a 6-month period, and that was a weird one. That was like my first loner bend. This is my second one, so I don't know. It's a thing.
Tyler, yeah, I waited a little more than I waited 2 weeks before shrooming again, and I was back down to base level tolerance. So I had a full-on trip on the 26th, and yeah, but I may wait a little longer before the next one, you know. But yeah, actually, speaking of unraveling, the most recent shroom trip, I had an unraveling experience that was really interesting, and kind of also talking about like the self and what is the self. It brought an interesting question, because there was a period in my trip where I was like fully in the trip. And I was actually on VC with some friends and talking to them. I was like lucid while it was happening, but I had a period where I lost sense of myself, and I was like completely unraveled and couldn't remember who I was. Yeah. And I had to like retrace the steps of my memories back to myself to sort of reassemble myself. And it was a really interesting experience and an interesting concept, because the way you just become like decoupled from the self and like your identity is such a fascinating experience, because it shows you how, in a way, how we have so many things that we've sort of coupled together tightly to create the self and a sense of identity that are a combination of like coping mechanisms and filters, memories that are constantly amended every time we think about them again, with new experiences in between. They become amended. They're never the original memories. And our own ways in which, like, filters and coping mechanisms that we use to avoid the truth of certain past experiences and existing traumas that all kind of come together to form our identity. And when I ended up in that situation where I was just unraveled and decoupled from a sense of self and had forgotten even who I was, it was almost I'm not going to say it's like an enlightening experience, but it's almost like
were you high? Were you high at the time?
I was on shrooms.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I was gonna say like, that probably shouldn't be an experience you would have off shrooms.
Oh, I've had that off shrooms all the time.
Boring.
Yeah, and it was really interesting because it gave me a lot of perspective about how it is that I think of myself and my identity, and how, in a way, it's fragile. It has so many assumptions built into it, so many automatic filters placed onto it. And that was a really interesting experience. The process of going through and retracing memories back to myself got me to think about myself as a person and identity in a very different way.
Yeah. I think about that too, because when I think about, okay, who am I to you guys, or who am I to my viewers, or whatever the fuck, right? I think about, what? Yeah, sure, yeah, right. But it's like, it's a summation of how I present myself in voice chat, how I present myself like online and stuff like that, right? But that's a completely different set of things, and it's like more of a subset of a set. And then that subset is presented differently in real life, and that subset is differently presented to my banker, and that subset is presented differently, to my the hitman I ordered on like several different people, right? So it's like so everything is different. So it's like it's all you. And like, sure, it's all you, but and it's still genuinely you, but it's like, yeah, it's very wacky to think about.
Yeah, like, do we have personalities without the existence of other personalities to interact with those personalities, right? It's like, it's Camus' The Stranger, same thing with Billy Joel's The Stranger, right? Like, both of them depict that kind of concept,
Okay,
like,
okay.
because
Stop
we are the
making these
stranger.
references. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay,
when you
well,
say
that's
these.
like fine. I'm like just saying like where the idea comes from. It's like, if you want to read into it, the book is called it's by Camus. It's called The Stranger. It's the idea of like that we are ourselves the stranger at all times, right? Like, we are often fulfilling roles in society or just interactions in general that are only tinged because we're doing those things, because that's what it is. But if you want the cliff notes, Billy Joel made a song that's like 4 minutes long that'll give you pretty much the cliff notes on it.
I have a friend who is has a personality disorder, and they their identity and so much about their personality changes oftentimes, and they usually go through like a big kind of like sudden change, right? And for most people it's very jarring, and it bothers them and they don't like it. But for me, I like it. I see it as that is her personality. Her personality is to change and be amorphous and nebulous, right? And that to me is very interesting. And so I love it. I think it's a really interesting part of who she is as a person, and so I appreciate it. And when sometimes there's like time between where like we don't talk for a while because she's doing some other things, and so I don't get to see her for a while, and then she comes sort of back into my life, and she has different friends, and she's got different hair look, and she's going by a different name, and she's got a different religion, and I'm like, I always think it's really cool. It's like I get to see new sides of her all the time. And to me, that's actually a really beautiful thing. But because it's something that is uncommon, we see it as being something that is disordered. And so, but I the way I see it, I think it's a beautiful aspect of who she is.
I think that like this, I think it's like, you know how all my emotes are moths, right? So I have this thing with moths because like I think that they're like the apex animal, right? Like, they are literally, as worms can get injured, and they become a clump of nothing, and then they reform into the thing they want to be, right? Which is super fucking cool to me, like super, super cool to me. And I think that there's something about...
Why are you doing River to Drowning in the Sea? Like, what are you doing, Hannah?
I don't think she's doing River to Drowning in the Sea.
Hey, I'm sorry. I wanted to hop in because I find this is a conversation that I am deeply interested in, and
Yeah, you're cool.
I think
Welcome.
about a lot.
What do you want to say?
I think that there is like an unmaking process that a lot of people have to do. This idea that Zonia was talking about of like where I always think of a quote that a streamer said of every person is a product of their that there's no meaningful way how to decouple a person from the circumstances and experiences that give rise to them. And there's no tool to do that. But I think that as humans, we inevitably have a tool, and we can do it ourselves if we're willing to make that decision. We can all be the moth that Rezi is talking about, where it doesn't matter what sort of injuries or hurts or damage we've taken, we can turn ourselves into goop and put ourselves in a little cocoon and come out the thing that we want regardless. I think a lot about how the circumstances of the things that you don't have the choice of. And I think a lot about like the ways that you get to redefine yourself within those and within traumas. Yeah, I just wanted to share that and my quick thoughts on it. I'm very,
Oh
very
yeah,
sorry for all the background noise and stuff.
you're
I'm
fine.
actually outside right now because I've been cooped up inside all day long, and I was like, I'm going to commit violent acts if I don't go outside and get some fresh air at some
Good.
point today.
That's good. That's good. It's
Yeah.
good to hear. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, we appreciate violence here. Violent acts are
Yes.
wonderful.
Yeah, I think that.
Yes. I woke up today and I chose violence, and
Mhm.
also I chose baking. So I'm gonna finish my grocery store run so I can also choose more baking.
There you
But
go.
thank you for listening to me. I love you so much, and I will be listening from chat.
Love and adore you, Hana. Be good.
All right,
Take care.
see you,
I'll
Hana.
talk to you soon. Yeah, I think. I mean, that's, yeah, I think that, like, developing, I guess that's like developing social technology. That's what therapy is. It's like social technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I guess, like, it's developing social technology and getting people to accept social technology.
Or tools
I don't know.
in general, social
Yeah.
tools.
Yeah, like, I mean, just tools to, like, develop the self. I guess, like, self-tools. I don't know, something.
Self-improvement.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Refining.
I mean, I'll be honest, like, personally, I really wish we could just, like, literally moth ourselves, like, once a lifetime, right? Like, as a species. If we could just, like, be able to moth where it's like, all right, cool. I get to become goop. I'm going to come out on the other end of this, and, like, I'm going to be, like, just a kind of recomposed form of myself, maybe with, like, wings. All right? I would love to, like, be able to moth myself just once. I think if we had that, that would be so fucking cool. You know? Also because I'd love to be able to have actual wings.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah, right. It would just be fucking
also,
cool.
Like, I would totally be chill hanging out against a lamp at late at night. I feel like that would be fun.
Oh my god,
especially
dude.
meeting other mods in the process.
It's just like,
hey,
I mean, here's the
welcome
thing.
to the lamp.
Like, the whole thing, like, you look at, like, caterpillars, right? It's like their whole life is just like, all right, I'm just gonna get real fucking fat. All right, I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna be real pretty. I'm gonna be one of the prettiest things ever on the other end of that shit. Like, it's like, how fucking based of a fucking organism is a fucking, like, are, like, caterpillars and fucking moths. They just eat leaves. They're not even eating, like, real food. They barely eat anything at all. And they're just like, yeah, this is fine. I don't even have to struggle for this shit. Oh, this shit just falls on the ground. Nobody wants it. Like, God, dude, I am honestly, at times, I am very jealous of fucking animals that can cocoon themselves, you know? I wish I could just have a cocoon. The thing is, it's like I could, but, like, it's just, it would just be a sleeping bag, and I would just be covered in my own shit for a couple of weeks. And I just smell really bad on the other end of it, you know? Like, that's exactly what would actually happen, so. Life is tragedy.
Yeah, I love moths and I like just creatures in general. I like all
I
kinds
love
of bugs and
Ugh.
different animals.
Dude, so many bugs are so insects are insanely cool. Like, mammals, it's
Right.
like cool. You have, like, this, like, self-determination shit, you know, as, like, a mammal. But, like, you look at, like, bugs, you've got, like, colonies of shit that are basically just, like, hive minds. You've got, like, again, those singular social ones. Then you've got, like, a lot of moths and butterflies, right? Like, they emerge. They don't have fucking mouths to eat in the goddamn first place. So it's like, you know, you got, like, one job, and that's just to literally just fuck another fucking moth or whatever, right? That's literally your entire, like, life job, and then you just die. Insects are so much cooler than fucking than, like, mammals, dude. They just are. It's the
I always
Carabus
like
corpse,
watching them. Like, that's one of the things I also noticed with my shroom trips is that I see a lot of bugs around that aren't actually there, and I was wondering why that was, because like it doesn't bother me. I think it's kind of cool, but like, I always think something is a bug, and I realized why that is because I notice bugs all the time when I'm outside or whatever, and I always like get a close look at them and watch them for a while, right? So I'm like, oh, what's that? And then I go and take a closer look and watch them. So I'm realizing that, you know, it's just I'm constantly aware of bugs and always looking out for them because I want to watch them. And so when I'm shrooming, I'm like thinking that I'm seeing a bunch of bugs all over the place, and then I'm like, I look closer, I'm like, oh, there's no bug there. What the hell?
Yeah. That's
It's actually a little disappointing.
See, like I'm a bird person, like 100%. Like when it comes to most stuff, I have like I have a lot of crazy shit. Like of me just finding birds that were just chill with me in like places and whatever, right? I've always been meant to train crows, right? And like just like leave popcorn out for them because I want them to bring me shiny things because I think that would be just fucking based. Also, if I was like walking through the town that like I barely socialize in the town anymore, like I have people I socialize I'm friends with, but they're like not. I don't fucking bother going and drinking anymore, and that's literally all this town is. Like I think literally if I were to like just have like a pack of crows and like, you know, I've been kind of separated from a lot of these people and I walk somewhere into fucking town and it just like there's just crows on every avenue just stalking and cawing as I walk and shit like that. And like, you know, I think that would be goth enough to explain my absence. You know what I mean? I think that's it. It's the crow, right? I would literally at that point be the crow. Yeah.
Birds
so that'd be cool.
are amazing.
Birds are so cool.
Corvidae is like my favorite bird family, so I totally get you.
Yeah. I
love magpies. I love ravens. I love crows.
I have like a thing. I have a thing for vultures, crows. Ravens are cool, but I think they're real big, and I think I like the pluckiness of a crow more than I like ravens, to be honest. So, but
there's an area down in Redwood City where you can run into ravens, like big ravens that have got like 4-foot wingspans, dude. But they're pretty rare around here.
Yeah, that's just it. It's just like I just think that like I don't know if I were to get an animal that was large, if I ever wanted to have like a super large animal companion, right, it would be I would have to get like an Avarchka, like one of those like 300 down bear hunting dogs and stuff. Like those are, I'm sorry, those ones would be so friggin' cool, dude. Like I don't know, I am like 100% just settled on like if I ever get to the point where I get a dog, I don't know if I even would want a dog in the first place, but if I were ever to get a dog, it would have to be like one of those, because I think it just would be so cool to just, I don't know, I have a dog that I'm like, all right, cool, this thing, I don't know, I'm a big dude, I just think it would be cool to have a big dog. I like Rottweilers and shit too. I don't know, I don't know if I ever want to have dogs, to be honest.
What about a big cat, like a Maine Coon?
I have like a Maine Coon Tabby mix, so like yeah, I already would be down with that. But Emilio's,
so I want a big
so
floofy cat.
Oh,
and just, like,
have you not met Emilio?
And then I get crushed to death.
Have you not met Emilio?
Okay, I'm sure I have, but like I haven't met like actually jumped on him.
No, I'll only go.
It's not the same. It's not.
No,
the
but like
same.
you can imagine, like I'm like 5'11", weigh 225 pounds. Okay, that's who I am. That's how big I am, right?
Yeah, but I want a 300-pound cat.
You are not gonna get a 300-pound cat. You can't have a tiger.
Okay, well,
you're going to get hurt. You're going to hurt yourself if you get a tiger.
Yeah, well, your mom, bitch,
would also give you would not give you a tiger.
Yeah, but like
you could get like 100. Yeah, you may be able to get like a 50-pound like serval or some shit.
Dude, I'm not okay. Excuse me, like
a serval.
Am I getting debate broed out of my tiger?
I'm. What? Okay.
It's really easy. You're on streaming platforms and you're in Discords.
No, this would not be any different.
Just get yourself a furry, okay?
Oh, you can get yourself a Discord kitten. You can get yourself a Discord kitten.
It's not the fucking same.
It's the exact same thing.
Get a Discord mod because they're nice and big and round, right?
Relationships are like owning animals.
Discord mods are usually about 300 pounds.
All my Discord mods
but you get one that has
all my Discord mods are incredibly skinny. Okay, I made sure of that. Okay, I had to do a weight check to make sure they're not obese or overweight. Okay?
What? What?
Look,
I don't even know what some of my mods
Discord
look
mods
like.
on average,
Yes,
on
because
average,
I have
around
to make
300
sure
pounds.
I have to make sure that they're dateable. Okay, I like that's the number one thing. Okay,
My
I have
number
to make
one
sure
thing
they're
is that my
dateable.
mods are
I have to make sure they're
undateable, that they are
attractive. I have to make
unlovable,
sure they're
unattractive
attractive. I have to make sure they're
freaks.
attractive, dateable, open to a romantic relationship.
With you or with
and
randos?
with me.
That's how you control your
And
mods?
anyway, the narrative is that I don't have a sex cult. Okay.
Okay.
And Chud Logic definitely will not, sabotage anything that's presented here, and this will definitely not make it to spicy chat. Okay.
Wait, are you running a sex cult?
Yeah. No.
No? Okay.
No.
That's good.
Yeah.
You really... You really want to be a
Don't
villain?
like fat people. Yeah. What's up?
You,
No,
you
I
don't like
wanna
fat
be
people,
villain.
yet
I
you're
want to
talking
be
to
a
me.
villain.
Like, what do you mean? Obviously, you're lying here. I'm pretty fat, dude.
You know, if Rezi goes for a tiger persona, you could have him for.
I'm not gonna get a tiger
cat.
persona, okay? My name is Hammond the
Chat, it's
Hippo.
going to be up to you to figure out what Rezi's persona is.
I am Hammond the Haram
Rezi's
Hippo.
persona is a caterpillar. Okay. All right.
That's actually a good point, yeah.
Because Reservoir has yet to metamorphosize into a moth or a butterfly. I think like Reservoir acts old, but in my opinion, Reservoir is still young. And in my opinion, I feel like I'm older than Reservoir. Reservoir is a young one. He has
Spiritually
yet to
older.
go. Yeah, spiritually older.
Okay. Good for you.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
I mean, if anything, it confirms. If anything, what you just said confirms that you're a mid-20s woman, but that's okay.
No,
Like, literally, I can't tell you how many. Oh, dude, I just got out of college. I have a job. I'm trying to do my own thing. By the way, I think I'm more spiritually attuned than you. I've already reflected on my Capricorn.
I have all my
All right,
crystal
bruh.
rocks in
Yeah,
the
then.
background.
Yeah,
I have my quartz.
Yeah, I got
have my
I got
river
300-year-old fucking books and incantations in Hebrew. What do you want? Like,
Me too. I read them out right before I go to bed.
what's what are Hebrew letters?
You know the one where it's like a rectangle and then there's
There's no rectangle one.
Okay, the one that is a rectangle and
There's
there's
literally
a
no
triangle.
rectangle one. There's no one with
There's
a
a triangle.
No,
Is
there's
there a
not.
one where there's a circle?
No,
Is there any one where there's a pentagon?
they're all just lines. They're all just lines.
Okay, that's so boring.
Squiggly
Like,
line.
what
Yeah.
the fuck? Who the fuck makes a language off of just
Aleph. Well, it's actually it's a corresponding to numbers language, right? So it's
Fushab is an empath
Yeah.
sensing the vibes are off near Auschwitz.
Food Chops becomes an empath for one day.
Wait,
Look at that!
I told you that this is my villain arc.
That
It's
you're
gonna
not.
happen.
This is my villain arc. It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
It's
my
gonna
villain arc.
happen. Just let me be evil.
Just let me be. But dude, shut the fuck up! Oh my god, you're so annoying, dude. Oh my god. You're actually
man.
so fucking annoying, dude. Shut
I'm
the fuck up.
so
Holy
funny.
shit.
I am so
Oh my
funny.
God.
I am so funny.
Hey, you too, Zonia. You're an enabler of this abuse.
This is true.
Your abuse is sick, Zonia. Fuck you.
Food Shops fell to one of the classic blunders.
All the abuse.
Maniac, fuck you. Okay. You're a little bitch. Is what you are. Alright, you laughing alongside that big chunky rock. Okay? A little big chunky motherfucking gobbledygook, okay? A big chunky gobbledygook goober booger, alright? I didn't even know that booger could even breathe or talk right now. Okay? Look at that motherfucker, okay? Look at that big motherfucking hippo, okay?
Oh, God.
I didn't even know that hippos breathe through their nostrils until this day, okay? I thought they just opened their mouth. I thought they could just open their mouth and breathe through their tusks, okay? All right? I thought that's what they did, okay? Look at this motherfucker. I didn't even know hippos could even wear shirts, okay? All right? Look at this motherfucker wearing this wife beater because this guy beats his wife.
Well, no, this is a no.
All
Hey,
right?
wait, stop. This is this is my merch. No, this is my merch. It's a tank top, a guy wearing a tank top of me wearing a tank top, smoking a joint. It's my merch.
That looks
yourself.
nothing remotely like you.
I know.
Like, why the fuck would you ever want to wear your ideal self like that?
This
Like,
is
you
not
do
my
not
ideal
look
self.
like
It's just
Shut the
chub,
fuck up,
dude.
you little
What do
bitch,
you mean?
Okay? All right? You won't let me become a villain, and now you are bringing out the worst in me, okay? You are the worst already, and you're now bringing out the worst in me, okay? All right? I wanted to be nice, but now you just want me to be mean. You just now want me to be mean. So now here I am.
You realize being a
I
villain
now.
isn't about
Look, I'm
being mean,
here
right?
to enable all villains, okay?
You realize
Fuck
being a
you,
villain
you
isn't about
enabler.
being mean. You realize that, right? It's about being evil. There's a difference.
Yeah, but I'm evil. If I'm mean enough, I'm evil, right?
No, that's not how that works. What's
You
your
know what?
evil? You have to have an evil take, right?
Okay.
You think
Evil
kids
take.
should get molested?
You're fat.
That's not evil.
And,
That's just a
and
street
Zonia
statement.
is not fat, but an enabler of fatism.
This is actually very true.
Yeah, this is absolutely true.
I mean, who would I have to make fun of if we didn't have fat people? I have
Exactly.
to enable fatism.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah, and I'm here
you're
just to be the
really
lightning
annoying,
rod.
Okay? You're annoying, and Zonia's annoying, and you guys are both annoying, and fuck you guys, fuck you both, and you guys are so you guys just keep waffling on about whatever philosophy shit about whatever the fuck you guys are talking about, and nobody fucking cares. You guys are just talking about like whatever bloats your boat, okay, and that's it. Bye.
Bloats your boat. That was
I
a good
fucking
one.
adore. I fucking adore her.
She's great.
Like it's just like, God, she's so much fun. Yeah, she's so much fun. That's just it.
She is.
God, I'm so glad. All right,
Wow.
you know what? I should probably
I'll
watch that
probably-
Destiny thing, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say I should
It's
drop
good.
off at
It's
this
fun.
point anyway.
It's a good laugh, right?
It is.
Okay.
It has funny moments. It has some pretty hilarious moments. And after the stream, when once she drops off the call with him on
She
her
gets on with
VOD,
Irrelevant.
yeah, she starts out by like playing a Wreckful video and is like crying and tearing up over it. And then somebody mentions Irrelevant in her chat and she says, "Oh no, Irrelevant, no, he's not a good guy. I've run into him once, he's not nice." And then made a claim about him saying that he laughed at her after she got off of a CuteBot speed dating stream and said that she deserved the abuse that she got. And Irrelevant showed up in her chat and started challenging her on that, and they had like a total of 3 calls, I believe, over the span
Back
of
to
about,
back.
Yeah, over the span of about an hour.
Based. Okay.
So,
All right, cool. Well, I got something to
Yeah.
laugh at then. All right, based.
That one might make you a little more angry though, because
What, the Irrelevant one?
Yeah, that one won't be as funny as it will probably be a little bit anger-inducing potentially.
Okay.
The Destiny one has some
Just
yucks to it.
bangers and shit. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, based. All right, cool. Good. All right, well, I guess that's what we're going to do on my day of not streaming. And I'll just go ahead and pepper the irons. Thanks for calling in. This was a fun call. Also, we need to troll food shops more. Like, we literally just need to, like, dude, like, I just realized, I'm like, we're just older than her. And it's like, by a bit. And it's just like one of those, like, oh, food shops. Oh, bubs. All right. I'll talk to you soon, though. Be good.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye.
See ya.